Hey guys, as promised, at the end of my last live on Thursday, I said I'd be back on Saturday to interpret the dog experiment, and here I am. So we've got a couple of people in chat now. I don't know, I haven't checked. I don't know if there's any other live streams or stuff going on, because normally a bit busier chat than this. I'm glad I didn't put it on slow mode. Anyway, I'll keep this fairly brief so that if people are going to come and watch it on the replay, then it's not like mega long. So, we got some people tuning in now. I assume your experiment is a version of Willow searching back and forth from the bench to the gate. She was following the scent trail because that's all she had to go on. Quite frankly, I think Willow was panicking, honestly. I think that's why she was kind of running around looking agitated, whether it was between the bench and the gate or between the bench and the stile. You know, there's differing accounts of where she might have been. But as these places are all like very close to each other, like the stile's literally about, 6 feet from the bench and the gate's maybe 10, 12 feet. I don't know. I haven't measured it, but it's not very far at all. But I think Willow was panicking. But apart from literally jumping in the river and floating away, this is the closest I could get to seeing what Cassie, the same breed as Willow, would do in a situation where Cassie didn't know where I'd gone. I'd gone out of sight. So, who've we got? StarQuest, member for 6 months. Thank you so much for your continued support. It's very kind. Angela, hello. Angels Becker. What else have we got? Jodie, Karen, Corey, Blambriel, Denise, Mason, Lisa, Miss Wales, Karen, Purple AJ, Frazzled, Mom, Pamela, Deborah, Kat, Alice, Jean, Sharon, Jackie, Electric Mindset, Mel, and I'm very glad I didn't jump in the river. Well, at least it would have been a bit warmer than it has been on my previous visits. It was really warm. It was a beautiful day. Betty, hello. Olwyn, Katie, Rennie, Crafty, Glitterwitch, and Cornish Fudge. Purple AJ has been a member for 18 months. Cassie is just too smart. Cassie was panicking. So what we're going to do is I'm going to play this video that I put on. I visited St. Michael's on Tuesday, which was the 2nd of May. And I uploaded this video on Wednesday. And it is literally the footage that I took of the experiment. And in that video, I didn't do any interpreting at all. I just put the footage out as was, minimal edits. Obviously, I had to edit in my footage and my son's footage because he was videoing one side of the stile and I was videoing the other side. So very few edits. And I put a note in the description box, which I assume some people got. Not everybody reads the description box, saying that I would interpret this in a future video. And then I decided to do it live because then we can have a chat about it. Karen, thank you for the £2. Your hard work on this case is very appreciated. Well, it's in my county. If I wasn't going to cover this case, then I might as well just give up and not bother covering true crime at all. Do you know what I mean? Oh, it was so funny seeing Cassie rolling on a dead animal. Yeah, that was in the other footage near the tree. Yeah, but anyway, so this is only 11 minutes, and I'm going to kind of stop it and talk through it. But first, before we get into the 11-minute video, I just want to play you a couple of videos on Cassie's channel. Cassie and Tilly both have their own channels, because it'll give you an idea of what Cassie's tracking skills are like. So Springer Spaniels, in case you don't know anything about Spaniels, Springer Spaniels, the name, the clue's in the name, Springer. They were specially bred to flush birds. And by flushing birds, what I mean is basically jumping into hedgerows and bushes and grassland and just springing in and springing out to get the birds to fly up into the air so that they could be shot, which I don't agree with, but that's what they were bred for. So they're very agile dogs, they're very intelligent dogs, because they've got to work it out. They've got to work stuff out using the nose and sometimes using the sight and sometimes using their memory as to where the birds might be. And she was scared until she found me. She was. And I shouted to, well, I was laughing. So it would have taken her longer to find me if I hadn't have done that. But she'd kind of shown me what I needed her to show me. So I didn't put her through any. I don't want her to lose confidence, to be honest, because I'm training her to track and I don't want her to lose confidence. And you'll see in a moment when I play the video and I explain it, why this was a difficult track for a young dog. But what Cassie has been, I'll talk through this. What Cassie has been doing a little bit of practice on is tracking objects. So sometimes I lose objects when I'm walking about in a field. I sometimes lose objects and I send Cassie to find them. And I've been practicing with her. So I use the command, where is it? And then she knows that I want her to go and find something. Now, she doesn't know what I want her to find, but all she's going to try and do is find a familiar scent. That's what she's doing. And this is what happened in this video. So this was me on a walk and I'd forgotten. I dropped her line, that long red line. And I gave her the command, where is it? Now, this could be anywhere on my walk. So I had no idea which way to direct her, because she'll follow directions left or right, or she'll just follow the direction of where I'm pointing. But I had no idea. I'd walked all the way around the field. I had no idea at where I dropped it. So I couldn't direct her. So she's running along trying to pick up a scent now. She doesn't know what she's looking for. And she keeps looking back at me, hoping that I'll give her a direction. And I genuinely couldn't. I had no idea where I dropped it. So what she's doing now, she's picked up a scent and she's following the line across the field where I must have walked. And then right the way in the distance, you can't really see it on the camera. I had to really zoom in. She's circling. And that's her alert. She circles. She doesn't bark. She circles. And she found it. So she's really good at that. Really good at that. But what she'd never done before, is tracked me. Right. So having someone else, be with her and me run away. She's never done that before. Now, when I was a kid, I used to have a collie cross shepherd, German shepherd, 3/4 collie, one part German shepherd. And she was an amazing tracker dog. She was very good. And I trained her to track my sister because my sister was 7 years younger than me. And I was always tasked with her, whereas be gone. Right, because she used to wander off and I used to have to go into the fields and find her and whatever. So I thought, well, I might as well just train the dog to do it, and I did. So I used to give her a sock of my sister's, and I used to find her, and that was the command, find her, and she would just find a scent and she'd go and find it every single time. Amazing dog. But Cassie has never done that. So this was purely right? This is an untrained track. Yes, she knows the command, where is it? And she knows that when I say, where is it? It means she's got to leave me and go and find whatever's familiar, whatever scent's familiar. So I've practiced with hats, gloves, things that have got my scent on them. But she's never tracked me before. So it's a very different situation to be in. And Springer Spaniels tend to be, not always, but tend to be one-person dogs. And they tend to be a little bit on the nervous side. Very, not necessarily nervous, but very sensitive. I think that's a better way to say it. My Labrador Brandy panicked when I wasn't, that's chat's jump, when I wasn't behind her doing an off-leash walk. They're funny when they panic. But this is good practice. A lot of dog trainers will tell you this, that rather than if you walk your dog off a lead, that rather than you watching your dog, right, you should be able to just go for a walk and not have to worry about your dog running away. So you get your dog to watch you. And one of the ways to do that is to play hide and seek with them and do unpredictable things like hide around a corner or hide, just jump over a hedgerow or in a ditch or something. You look ridiculous, but the dog realizes you're not there, and then they have to find you. And they'll learn very quickly that they've got to keep their eye on you, because this person is crazy. This person is just going to disappear and jump into a ditch at the drop of a hat. So let's just keep an eye on them, and my dogs are good at that. They do keep an eye on me. Cassie better than Tilly. Tilly's more keeping an eye on other people to see if she can bark at a dog. But Cassie's very good at keeping her eye on me. Like I go out of sight for 2 seconds and she finds me. But this was an unfamiliar location, and this was an unfamiliar track to her. But I'll play you just one more of these little videos, because in my opinion, what Cassie did on Tuesday is very similar to what she did a month ago when she found some ducks. Now, we've been talking about object permanence on Nicola Bulley videos, and I'm not going to get into object permanence, but basically, some people think dogs don't have object permanence, which means when an object disappears, it fails to exist. And I don't think that's the case. It is from a human perspective. They don't have object permanence like we have. But the experiments that people have done with dogs to test object permanence are the same tests that they do on little kids. But dogs see the world and smell the world very differently than people. Their primary sense is the sense of smell. So when you hide an object, a little kid, like a 2-year-old, doesn't have object permanence yet, and they think when that object's gone, it's disappeared, it fails to exist. And then they're like shocked and surprised and all happy, like peekaboo, right? When babies, we play peekaboo with a baby, right? They're like shocked and happy and all emotions rolled into one when you reappear. Well, doing the same experiment with a dog is hilarious, but a dog will scent it out. So it's not quite the same. But this is a naturalistic way to demonstrate what object permanence means to a dog. And it's also relevant to the Nicola Bulley case. So I'm going to play this. It's only 1:50. And this, what Cassie did in this video with these ducks, is very similar to what she did with me, in my opinion. So let's just play this. So she sees some ducks and they fly away and they've gone. They fly kind of this direction. So she follows them. She's seen what direction they go in, but she doesn't understand flight. So to her, they've just disappeared. So what does she do? She comes back to the place they last were, thinking that they'll magically reappear there. Now, this is a failure to understand flight. That she knows these objects have gone, but she thinks, well, okay, I'll retrace where they were and I'll track my way back to see if they're somewhere. So she can't find them. So she's following the line that she went. She's retracing her steps, look. Still can't find them. So then she's got a decision to make. Does she just give up? No, she's not going to give up, because spaniels don't give up. Because this is very natural. This is what spaniels were bred to do, like find birds and flush them. So what she does now is she widens her search. And I think the ducks must have been sitting there at some point, because she's very fixated on this spot. But then she tracks back and she's trying to find them with her nose. So she lost them visually. She went back to the location that she'd first seen them. She retraced her steps, and then she decided to use her nose. And I think that's what she was doing with me. If I'd have let her panic for a little bit longer, and I kind of wish I had done, but then I just felt really sorry for her, and I thought, you've done kind of what I wanted you to do. But I kind of wish I'd waited another 5 minutes, because I think what she would have done is put her nose down and tracked me. But where I hid was actually quite a difficult track, even for a more experienced dog. So let's play this video. Some of you will have seen it. Some of you might not. Tilly doesn't care. Tilly doesn't care. Tilly can track. She just doesn't want to. Like, I've tried to get Tilly to find stuff for me. Not interested. Not interested. It's not that she can't. It's that she doesn't want to. And that's the problem with dogs. Like, you know, if they've not got the motivation or the aptitude for it, then what's the point? They're not going to do it. She'll track down pizza and smackaroos and various other dog treats. So if I hide treats in the garden and say, where is it? Tilly will go and find them. But if it's my stuff, she's not interested. She's also not interested in birds or sheep or anything like that. So, yeah, she's just very chill. But until she sees a dog, and then she goes and runs after him barking, which is ridiculous. A lot of dogs do hate water. Surprising you've got a Labrador mix that hates water. Most labs love water. He or she must have inherited the Rottweiler. I don't know whether they hate water as a breed. But anyway, right, let's play this video. So I'm going to play it with the sound on, but I'm going to keep stopping it. So I'm going to let the first couple of minutes play, because it's hilarious. So, yeah. And then once I actually go and hide, then I'll pick up the commentary. You got a pitsky, daft as a brush and loves water. All right, let's play this. Oh, I'll need to mute out, or else it'll echo. Hold on. Right, guys, this is an experiment. So Cassie's got some choices to make. I'm going to go over this style, and okay, we'll try that again. She slipped a collar. Right, I'll tell you what the plan is. Cassie's got 4 choices to make. Why can I not get over this style? Cassie's got 4 choices. So Kyle is going to operate Kyle Cam, and I'm going to go over the style 2 minutes. He's going to count 120 seconds. Cassie's got 4 choices. She can either follow me, follow Kyle. Kyle's going to go through the gate. She can stand here looking nervous, or she can just run off and do her own thing. Those are her 4 choices. All right, so...
She's just going to slip it again.
Well, just make sure she doesn't.
How do I do that?
Put her on your knee.
She's just going to attack me.
She's not going to attack you. Right. Start your timer. Right, he's manhandling her now. She's not having it. Right. Right, so I'm going to go and hide. This is emulating the Nicola going off on her own, either through kidnap or through, I don't know. What? Good girl. Good girl. See, I'm her human. She knows which side her bread's buttered on. I feed her, I walk her. She sleeps in my bed. What did she do? She wrestled you. She wrestled you. Right, put her on her lead. And then once you 120's up, take her off the lead then. I thought you could actually handle.
Well, it is like a heavy animal.
A heavy animal. She's 15 kilograms. Right. Incentive. Smackaroos. So Kyle's going to have the smackaroos. So hopefully keep her occupied. Right. Start your timer. Oh, I'm nearly crying with laughing watching this back. This is what I have to put up with, like my entire life. This is what I've had to put up with Kyle. After it was over and I'd turned the camera off, Kyle was like, Tilly would have stayed with me. Tilly would have stayed with me. And Tilly would have stayed with Kyle. She wouldn't have been bothered that I walked off. She would have like looked and then realised that Kyle had smackaroos, and then she'd have just stayed with him, and I could have fallen, broke my neck, and Tilly wouldn't have cared. Because she's very motivated by food. Cassie isn't. She's not motivated by food. So again, it's just a difference that I thought, well, maybe he can keep her entertained for 2 minutes by feeding her, but she wasn't having any of it. So now Cassie's on a lead, so she can't escape. So this is, it's kind of testing a few theories, really. So, you know, some people have said, well, Willow was told to sit and stare, either by Nicola or by someone else who kidnapped Nicola. And I've always maintained that a Springer Spaniel, however well trained they are, once their human goes out of sight and they're unfamiliar and they're unsure, and they just sense that something's wrong, they will disobey that command. They will totally disobey that command. I want my daughter to do this experiment. She's got 4 Springers. I know she won't. She won't want to be involved, but one of them, Max, that some of you have seen on videos, he's very elderly, but she's got 3 young Springers, and 2 of them are working dogs, and they are exceptionally well trained. Like, they'll sit and stare, and she can walk right the other side of a field and they sit and stare and they don't move. But they're Springer Spaniels, and I'm convinced that even a dog that is so well trained as hers, they will disobey a command once they realise something's wrong. Now, Cassie isn't very good at obedience, simply because I don't need her to be, honestly. Right? I'm not very obedient, so, you know. But, yeah, that's one thing that, you know, it's not Willow. I'm not using Willow, but it's the next best thing. And a dog of the same breed is the next best thing to actually using the dog that was involved in this horrible case. But people have said, look, Willow could have been so well trained that she would have sat and stared, whereas Cassie wouldn't. And yes, it's true, she might have sat and stared, whereas Cassie won't. However, once she sensed something was wrong and she started panicking, she would disobey that command. The other thing people have said is that if Nicola was kidnapped, someone held Willow, and then, you know, let's say these two fishermen, you know, these two dodgy fishermen that were hanging around. One theory I've seen was one of them kidnapped Nicola, one of them held Willow, and then once Nicola, you know, had been contained, so to speak, then the other guy ran off, leaving Willow at the bench, and then Willow just stayed there. And I've always maintained that wherever Nicola went, so would Willow. So if Nicola had walked off on her own to end her own life further downstream, that's where Willow would have been found. If Nicola had been kidnapped, Willow would have tried to follow. And I know people say Willow was tied up, and that's why she was tied up with string, and she was tied up and she was never loose. Now, look, I can't prove that, but I don't believe that Penny's involved or Ron's involved or any of the locals are involved. I saw Penny on Tuesday. She didn't attack me. She didn't shout at me. She didn't push me in the river. She smiled at me. I think she's just sick to the back teeth of TikTokers and YouTubers, and that's where she comes across as being grumpy. And there was one negative review. There was one negative review that all of this speculation has come from. That one camper who was staying in one of her caravans had been told Penny would shoot a dog if it bothered her chickens or her sheep. And no, that's not a very nice thing to say. It's not a very nice thing to say at all to someone who's a holiday maker. But it doesn't mean to say that she's going to commit a murder, right? So Penny can be innocent but still involved in the suicide. Well, suicide by definition is you taking your own life. So how would Penny be involved in a suicide? Me neither, Mel. Kidnapping in broad daylight with people walking around, I don't see it happening. It's not a very easy place to kidnap someone. That's why the theories have got sillier and sillier. But in doing these experiments, what I'm trying to show is how a dog will behave. I can say, look, Willow would behave like this. But because I've got a Springer Spaniel, I've been able to say, look, this is the next best thing. Let's see what my dog will do. And no, I'm not gonna go and I'm not going to go and jump in the river. I contemplated it, honestly, like roping up and going in the river to see what Cassie would do. But I thought better of it once I saw those rocks, because I don't know what else is down there. Right, so I'm not going to do it. By upsetting Nicola. How would somebody, when you were out on a dog walk, how would somebody upset you to a point that drove you to suicide if you weren't suicidal in the first place? I really, Anyway, right, let's carry on. So Cassie's now tied up like on a lead, and I go and hide. So let's get into the hiding place. She's not happy. She's not happy. Right, he's keeping her occupied with smackaroos. So I'm being kidnapped right now, or I'm going off on my own, or I don't know, whatever. But I've got 2 minutes to go and hide. Because in 2 minutes, I think you could get up over to that path there if you were walking fast. Right. So Kyle Cam's going to be filming the other end. If you can manage to not get attacked by a Springer Spaniel or something. But I'm just going to keep walking. Right, where can I hide? I know where I'll go. I know where I'll go. Go down the bank here. Right, let's say I decided to fall in the river down here. I could go as far as the weir, but don't really have time for that. Should have said 5 minutes rather than 2 minutes. Right. I'm going to hide here. He's still at the bench. I can see him. Look at how much this has grown. God knows what situation he's in now. Ow! Ow! Right, shh. Right, I realised only when I was editing this footage how difficult I'd made this for Cassie. Like, more difficult than I intended to make it. For 2 reasons. Firstly, I doubled back on myself. Only a little way. But if she'd got her nose down, she'd have been able to follow my line of scent and then realise that I took a left and then gone along the bank. But dogs are black and white thinkers. Once they think you've gone in one direction, then they'll follow that one direction. And Cassie hadn't got her nose down. She was going by memory, I think. Like sight at first, because she knew what direction I'd gone in, and by memory, because the last time I was here on March 27th, I walked down this path, and I walked down as far as there's like a hedgerow near the weir. So Cassie was using memory and had shot down there thinking that's where I'd gone, realised I hadn't, and then she had to then rethink. Like, dogs don't have multiple scenarios in their head to begin with, right? The second thing is that what I'm sat in there is wild garlic. It smells really strong. And the change in the scent from the grass to the garlic, I think, would have masked my scent a little bit. Only a little bit, but for an experienced tracker dog, wouldn't have mattered. But for an inexperienced dog, remember, she's never done this before, that would be confusing. That's why I kind of wish I'd waited another 5 minutes to see at what point she'd have got her nose down, because she would have got her nose down and she would have found me. But yeah, So I made it a little bit more difficult than I intended to. I heard there's another lady missing who fell in. What, at St. Michael's? Where at? Yeah, the yellow ribbons have gone, yeah. She needs to start diagnosing herself. It's grown loads. It's crazy how much it's grown. No, it's not dangerous. I was quite away from the bank. What's that? Would it simply be listed as DV? Obviously, it was nothing too serious. Oh, you're talking about the welfare check? We don't know. We don't know. That might be discussed at the inquest. The lead was there. The lead was there. It was attached to the harness. I think that Willow's lead wasn't a lead like Cassie's, just like a rope. It was one of those that has a handle, and the lead retracts into the handle. Let me just see if I've got a picture of it. And I'm wondering whether Penny used string because she couldn't work out how to tie that to the bench, because it's, hold on, let me just find, see if I've got that picture. Because there is one of Willow's lead. Let's have a look. Is it that one? No. I know. Ah, there it is. Okay. Right, just let me, I'll have to go out of this and reshare. All right, this picture. I'm doing here. All right. That. It's one of those leads. So you press a button and the lead retracts into this handle, and then you can let them go. So it's like a retractable tape measure. And I'm wondering whether she couldn't work out how to tie that safely with that handle thing, because it's not like just a normal lead. And I'm wondering, I don't know. But I just don't think there's anything nefarious in it. Honestly, I really don't. Okay. There was another comment that I wanted to look at. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We might find out at the inquest. Here's what I wanted to look at. Listen, I used to work in demolitions, and a crazy bastard from Lancashire. Oh, there's a lot of us. There's a lot of us, crazy bastards from Lancashire. Used to bring his springers and bird of prey on site next to 22-ton machines rolling by them, and the dogs never move. Try kidnapping him. They'll probably move then. They're very loyal. They're very loyal, our springers. But a bit of machinery isn't going to bother them. All right, so I'm hiding now. So I've told him to wait for 2 minutes. So he put his timer on for 2 minutes. What's that? Why are people saying that the thing was apparently attached to the slab near the bench was a lead? Supposedly put there to tie your dog while sitting on the bench. Ha! I've never noticed that. Slab near the bench was a lead. I'd never noticed that, honestly. I'll have to look back my footage. Yeah, I think that's the most likely scenario. That she put her phone down to put Willow back on her harness, and she slipped. Yeah, that's the most likely thing. Or she had a medical emergency, like she felt dizzy and passed out. I don't know. Don't know what medical conditions she might have. But yeah, I think she probably slipped. And there's nothing more to it than that. It's very sad, but in January and early February, before all that foliage was there, it was really slick. Like there was virtually no grip whatsoever on the ground. Menopause. Does menopause cause you to pass out though? I don't know, because I've not had it. So I don't know what it's like. I'm not sure it makes you pass out. It might do. It might do. But anyway, all right. Let's carry on. So we have to wait a while. Hold on, I need to move out here. Right, I'm down the bank. He's obviously managed to deal with her in some way. There's more people there. Oh, I look ridiculous. Never mind. Wonder what's happening on Kyle's end. Here she comes. She's tracking me. So I couldn't really see her properly. I was kind of like crouching down, but kind of holding my phone up. And I just caught kind of a white flash of her going by. And I think she'd gone to the point where she knew I'd gone last time, where we walked last time. And then I think she'd stopped and was circling a little bit and was confused. And then she went back, as we'll see in a minute. That's just, look, that's just internet speculation. There's no evidence of that at all. at all. Yeah, toxicology will tell us that kind of thing. Yeah, I was holding my phone up though. I was crouching, but holding my phone up. Yeah, maybe that's what people thought I was doing. I don't think it's confusing at all. I think Willow was incredibly loyal. I think she was incredibly loyal. That's true. Not to my knowledge. Internet speculation. I talked about the little eddies on the 27th of March, on my footage on the 27th of March. For those of you who don't know, eddies are like they're like micro whirlpools. It's where the current is interrupted by things like things underwater, debris, rocks, and they create like little whirlpool type effects, eddies. So I did talk about that in March. So check back my footage. Right, so what happens next on Kyle Cam? I hear you say. Let's find out. Here she is. She's looking for me. Oh, bless her. She's scared. So she completely ignored Kyle. She went to the gate. She went to see if I was at the gate. And then she thought about going under the fence and going that way. And then thought, no, she went this way. So she made a decision there, in my opinion. So she didn't come back over the stile to check in with Kyle, which you would think that she would have done because the last person she saw was Kyle. But no, she didn't even go and check in with him. What she did was she went to that place where she could get under the fence, but thought better of it. Because she thought, no, she's in this direction. Her scent is in this direction. Or I last saw her in this direction. So she thought about going and looking down the path, but thought better of it and went back to try and find me in the last place she'd seen me. It would have been very interesting if she'd have gone back to all the way down the path. I wouldn't have expected her to, because like in the duck situation, when the ducks flew off, she went back to the place that she first saw them, and then she retraced her steps. So I think she did the same here, that she went back to the last place from the place I went from when she last saw me. She went back to check that I wasn't there, like she went back to check that the ducks magically hadn't just reappeared there. And then I wasn't there. So she went back, like she did with the ducks. So I think that she'd have retraced, and then if I'd stayed hidden longer, like with the ducks, she'd have started to use her nose and she'd have widened out her search. Yes and no. They need to be trained to track specific things, but in dogs, their primary sense, so in humans, the primary sense is vision. In dogs, the primary sense is a sense of smell. Like their sense of smell is thousands of times better than ours. And then it's hearing, and then it's vision. So they naturally use their noses to find stuff. What needs to be trained is to know what they're actually tracking. So let's say, for example, cadaver dogs need to be trained to ignore every other scent in the environment and only sniff out dead bodies or human remains. Live scent tracking dogs need to learn to take a scent object, sniff it, and then go and find that particular scent, ignoring everything else in the environment. And it's that ignoring everything else in the environment that might distract them that is the really difficult thing. Dogs are natural trackers, but to train them in a way that's useful to humans, that's a very, very well-practiced skill. It's kind of honing their natural ability. Yeah, they are birders from birth. Springers are. I talked about the strange currents there in March. Now, I didn't specifically look at the current at the red brick building, but I remember talking about it because the current is interesting for several reasons around that area, because you've got the influx of water volume from the confluence further upstream. The River Brock joins the River Wyre. So there's an interesting thing going on there with current. And then where the bench is, where the bend is, you've got a lot of underwater things. You've also got very steep banking and a deep area in the middle. So I think all of those things combined make the current look really interesting, and it looks calm on top. But if you look under the surface, there's stuff going on with the currents there. So I think you're probably right. Okay. Well, I noticed the eddies, but I'm not an expert in rivers, right? Honestly. But it's very calm on the surface, but there's interesting things. I think it's partly increasing water volume, partly the debris and the kind of obstacles under the water, and then partly to do with the banks being really steep and the middle part of the river being really deep at that area.
It's the aliens.
Kyle says it's the aliens
Controlling the river flowing, how the river flows.
Reverse current below the bench. I'll go and check out my footage, because I was there a while in March looking at it. Oh, I bet she was. I bet she was. Where are you going, Kyle?
Car.
Oh. All right. See you later. Oh, okay. Peter Folding's helping the family. Hazel Neem went missing last year, November. Fell in near Nicola. Hazel Neem. I'll look her up after. Before we end the stream, I'll look her up. What's her name? Hazel Narn. Hazel Narn. All right. So she goes back to find me now. So I'll let it play through to the end, or I'll let it play through to the bonus clip. That's in the last 30 seconds. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Very good girl. Good girl. She's tracking back my scent now. She's done that the first time, silly girl. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. What happened at your end?
I don't know, it took ages because I only put the two step back to that house.
Oh. So what happened when you went through the gate?
I didn't even get to the gate, she really wanted.
Oh, did you not?
I let her off a collar and just ran off.
Oh.
Didn't even get to the gate.
So I don't know whether you caught that, but as soon as he let her off her line, she ran off. Did she go over the stile?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been running around here. I was over there. But she was going like past the fence where I went down, and then I kind of backed up on myself. But I think she was a bit confused. Good girl. She's definitely my dog. And I turned the camera off at that point, and then Kyle said, Tilly would have stayed with me though. Nicola didn't fall in at the bench. Well, she did though. In my opinion. Because why, if Nicola didn't fall in at the bench, why was Willow there? The reverse flow could easily have trapped her. That's true. Could have done. It could have done. But it's not reverse flowing all the way upstream. It's not. It's just not. There's interesting current patterns, but it's flowing downstream. Oh, dear me. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I mean, it can happen to anybody, can't it? When your time's up, that's it. I mean, anything could have happened. It could have been a medical emergency. It really could. It really could. It's at least 10 meters upstream. Okay. No, Willow was tied up when she was found. Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask Tilly and Cassie. Exactly. Exactly. So what can we conclude from this experiment? That if Willow was as faithful and as loyal as Cassie was, if someone had held Willow while Nicola was kidnapped, Willow would have followed. If Nicola had gone off on her own and told Willow to sit and stare, Willow would have followed. Maybe not straight away, but she would have chased after her. Once she realised something was wrong, she'd have chased after her. And Willow would have been found somewhere else. And the fact that I did that with Cassie, with someone else there who lives with Cassie, who's known Cassie for as long as I have, Cassie was not interested in him at all. She didn't even go back to check on him. Oh, bless. Yeah, Willow would run off. Willow would run off if Nicola was, you know, had disappeared completely. Willow would have run off to find her, and then she would have been found in the location that she last saw Nicola. So in 2 experiments now, a natural experiment where Cassie chased some ducks and they flew off and she doesn't understand flight. So she went back to the place that she last saw them, and then she retraced her steps. And at that point, she started to track. Exactly the same as in this experiment. Cassie, as soon as she was free, she went in the direction that she saw me go. And then she went back to the place she last saw me. She retraced her steps. And if I hadn't have shouted to her, she would have started to track, I think. Or she may have gone back to the bench again. And at some point, she would have started to track. So, if Willow and Nicola on the 27th of January had experienced anything else than Nicola entering the river at the bench, Willow would have been found elsewhere. That's apparently what they did, yes. They tied her up when she was found. But why would Willow go back to a place that Nicola wasn't? That's the question. If Nicola had been kidnapped or had gone in the river elsewhere, why would Willow have gone back to the bench? No. My experiment proved that Willow would have followed Nicola. That's what my experiment proved. Without a shadow of a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt, Willow would have followed Nicola. Now, the next question is, why would Willow not have jumped in the river? And I've said that Willow would not jump in that river because it's treacherous. However, watch this. This is my bonus clip. Watch this.
She's got to get back in my car like this.
Come on, Cass. This way.
Good girl.
How interesting is that? That in January, well, I went there on the 6th of February. Cassie would not jump in the river at the bench. She was running up and down the bank to try and find a place where she could have got in. On the 27th of March, when I went, even when I was right on the edge of the bank filming, Cassie would not jump in that river at the bench. So why did Cassie jump in that time is the question. You go and get in, Vincent. You go and get in and film it and let us know your experience. No, Willow was only tied up when she was found. It's that simple. And at this point, Frankie, you're being a troll, so I'm not responding to you again. But would she, though? Because why did Cassie not go in? Absolutely not go in. She was running up and down trying to find a spot. When I went further upstream where the bank's shallow, she went in and had a swim. Why did she not go in March when I was there? And I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know the answer to this. But I suspect that it's because the river's lower. The river levels, I'll show you the river levels. I talked about this on Thursday because at the end of my walk, I went back to the bench and she went in again. She'd been dying to get in there since she first went, and she took the opportunity to do it. And if you see what the river was like on Tuesday, it was below the average low. So if you look at the measurement, thank you, BCTV, different videographer with opinions. Thank you for the $9.99. That's very kind of you. Very kind. So on Tuesday, it was below. The measurement was 0.32. Typical low is 0.4. Now that's at the weir, at the rocky part at the weir. That's where the gauge is. But presumably, when the river is low at the weir, it's also low in other parts as well. So, thank you. So I think it was because she could see the bottom clearly. That's what I think it was. Also, I think it was that there's foliage along the bank now. I don't know what assessment she makes. I don't know, because she's like a mountain goat. Like, she can climb up like sheer bankings. And she just can. But she jumped in. You could hear her coughing like she swallowed some water. So I don't know. Yeah, I think she makes an assessment as to the depth of the river, maybe the sounds in the river. I don't know, like undercurrents. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And she teams that with the banking area. I don't know. I don't know why she wouldn't do it. Why she didn't do it in February and why she didn't do it in March, but yet she did it 3 times. She did it 3 times. She did it there when Kyle was there and whinging about his car. And then when we went back, after we'd walked from the tree to the bench and go back and look at the footage from Thursday on that, we got back to the bench. She went in, she jumped in, she came back out and she jumped in again. So she obviously enjoyed the jump, but she came straight back. It's just interesting. Interesting. Thank you, Angela. Always trust and value my opinion. I try to give an opinion, but I try to back it up. And this is the best way I know how. But thank you for the $9.99. It's very kind of you. Did I have another one? Oh no. Okay. Just rewind. Yeah, it's a calculation. Maybe it is temperature as well. But having said that, when it's the middle of winter, when there's ice on the ground, she will go in the creek near me. She'll swim if she doesn't stay in long, but she will. So I don't think it's the temperature. I think it's the assessment of she can see the bottom. Well, okay. All right. So, yeah, make of that what you will. Now, I think that Nicola fell in the river at the bench. Willow stayed there, and she stayed there because that was the last place she saw Nicola. Now, if she hadn't have been found, you know, we have this interesting speculation. If she hadn't have been found within 10 minutes and then tied up, what would she have done? Would she have tracked her down the river? We don't know. We'll never know. Possibly. Or would she have tracked Nicola's scent back towards the car? Or would she have just stayed there and became increasingly anxious? I don't know. We'll never know. That's just getting into the realms of hypotheticals. But I can't do more than I've done. I really can't do more than I've done to show what I think happened and why. So yeah, all right. Before I sign off, let's look up Hazel. No. Missing. Okay. Right. This is the Daily Record. Search crews conclude hunt for missing Hazel Narn after Scott's Grand swept away by river. So she's in Scotland. She's not near where Nicola fell in. Aberdeen, that's right up the north of Scotland as well. Police in Aberdeenshire have called off searches from a grandmother who was swept into a river during a major flood. Hazel Narn, 71, oh bless her, was last seen in the River Don in her home village of Monymusk, 20 miles west of Aberdeen on Friday. I've been to Aberdeen. It's far up north, Aberdeen. Torrential rain and flooding has battered the region around the time of Hazel's disappearance. Specialist search scoured the miles. Tragically, her pet dog Rory was found a few days into the search, having been swept away with her. Oh, that's so sad. Although police have called off their extensive and detailed searches, Sergeant Andy Peerless told Aberdeen Live that the investigation into her disappearance is ongoing. Oh, it's so sad. But river searches are incredibly difficult. The investigation continues to trace the 71-year-old Hazel Narn, who was last seen in the water in the River Don near Monymusk on Friday. Oh. They're so difficult, river searches. I'm going to look up Monymusk. Monymusk. Okay. So there's the River Don. So she fell in the River Don. It's going to come out in the North Sea eventually. It's going to come out in the North Sea. They might never find her. So sad. But yeah, it's not near Nicola. That's right up here, near the top of Scotland, and Nicola is right down there. Near there. Right down there. So it's about, I don't know, 300 miles. Let's have a look. $321 miles. So not close to Nicola. So has Peter Folding been involved in that as well? Well, Sounds like Rory jumped in after her. Or they both fell in together. Maybe. I mean, I'd like to do the experiment with Willow, but Nicola's not here. So we could never recreate that scenario with Willow. You know, we can't. So I can only do the next best thing and show you what my dog would do, who is the same breed. Peter's still working. Good for him. Hold on. Has he been in the news relating to Hazel? No. Let's have a look. Peter Folding. Oh, was it not that, did he not have a book out then? Did not have a book out then, so it's not really. Oh, there he is. Is that him? Yeah, that's him. Got help from a diver who was part of the search for Nicola Bulley. Hazel Narn has been missing since November. We know that. Body of a pet West Island Terrier was found. Okay. Searched the river at St Michael's on Wire. We know that. After initially ruling her out falling in the river, her body was found. So, yeah, at least Peter knows that she was in the river. But Peter Folding had to defend his search and his organisation as they were removed from the National Crime Agency's list of specialists. He initially ruled out her being in the water and later had to deny giving Miss Bulley's family false hope when her body was discovered in the river. He said he had not searched the reeds where she was found. Well, if you check out my footage that I took on Tuesday at the tree, you will also notice that there were no reeds there. I don't know. Yeah, it was removed, yeah. Yeah. I mean, just giving a family false hope. And anyway. There's a search group called Beneath the Surface that are near me. And they've been searching for Daniel Hives. Hold on. I did a live stream. Am I sharing that? Yeah. I did a live stream on this young man here, Daniel Hives, who's been missing since December. And he was last seen close to the River Lune in Lancaster, which is in Lancashire, but it's further north. So it's almost in Cumbria, really. So there's a local search organisation called Beneath the Surface, who were based very close to me, and they've been helping out. So Robbie Hives is Daniel's brother. So he's leading the efforts to try and find answers. You know, did he fall in the River Loon and he's been washed out to sea? Or did he was last seen having shortly had an altercation with someone. So was there some foul play involved? And there's just no answers whatsoever. And he's been missing since December. So big thanks to Beneath the Surface for going back and checking a few more points of interest near the area Daniel went missing in early December. Not going to stop searching no matter how hard or how many dead ends we hit. So Beneath the Surface had been out once before and checked some sections of the river, and then they've been back again. Beneath the Surface also searched for Peter Baglin, who was found near the canal in Worsley, near Manchester. They didn't find him. The police found him a few days later. But I think the fact that there was a search organisation out there looking for him spurred the police to actually go back and have a look, and they found him. So this weekend, we've been back out in Lancaster searching sections of the River Loon for any signs of Daniel Hives. The tide was out and the river levels were extremely low, which helped us check the river and the most likely areas quickly. We didn't locate any sign of Daniel. We'd like to ask everyone to continue to be aware and keep an eye out for any possible sign of what may have happened to Daniel. We urge anyone with information about what happened to Daniel to contact Lancashire Police. If you're in the area of the Millennium Bridge, Lancaster, on the 10th of December, please check any possible CCTV, dash cam and doorbell footage. If you saw anything, no matter how insignificant it may be, please come forward and call 101 or contact Lancashire Police directly. So, so sad. There's so many people missing. So many. There is. And the problem is they're so difficult to locate. So difficult to locate. Like Lancaster and the River Loon, it's very similar to the River Wyre in that it's very silty and sandy. But in Lancaster, if you fall in the river at Lancaster, you're much closer to the sea. So it's only about, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles from the sea. So it could be in the Irish Sea by now. But it's just so difficult. River searches especially. No, she wasn't found tied up. She was found loose and then she was tied up. How difficult is that fact? How difficult is the fact? We don't deserve dogs. Absolutely. We don't deserve dogs. Apparently, Nicola and Willow were very close. Willow was Nicola's shadow, according to her friends. So, and as I said right at the beginning of this live stream, Springers tend to bond with one person. So they're very sociable dogs, but they tend to bond with one person particularly. So, not always, but that's why I think that Willow would have been incredibly loyal to Nicola and has stayed in the location where Nicola was last seen. Oh, I do try. They are very faithful. Yes, they did. They did. Yes, they did. Go and check. Go and check. Yes, they did. All right, guys. I'm going to end it here. I'm actually been on longer than I anticipated. But if you're in Lancaster, please keep your eye out for Daniel Hives. He's been missing since the 10th of December. It's possible he fell in the River Loon or was pushed in the River Loon, but we don't know. So if you're in Lancaster, please check your dash cam. If you were in the area, any CCTV, anything at all, contact the police. And also Hazel Narn from Aberdeenshire, from Monymusk, Aberdeenshire. If you live along the River Don between Monymusk and the sea, please keep a lookout, because even though she was seen in the river, she died in the river. Her family need a home. She needs to be brought home. So, yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you found this experiment interesting and just a little bit about dog behaviour, as well as how it might relate to Nicola Bulley and why Willow was where she was. All right, guys, thank you so much. Thanks to the mods. I don't know if I've had any mods in, but anyway, thanks as always to the mods. And thank you for the donations. Thanks for keeping the chat calm and classy. And I'll see you very soon. There'll be a video out tomorrow. Bye, guys.